pinch me and wake me up, man, because this is a nightmare. Hal Steinbrenner blessed us with an interview to give us better insight on how ridiculous his mind works. Because the Yankees haven't won a World Series since 2009. Put that in perspective. And have a top 3 payroll year after year. And then obviously in 2024, they finally made it to the World Series again and then lost and got embarrassed by the Dodgers, right? The only other team that spent more money than them. You let go of the player that got you to the World Series, and then you end up replacing him with a variety of players, which 2 out of the 3 players are most likely not going to be on the team next season because Devin Williams is a Met and Cody Bellinger is getting lots of traction from a lot of teams that are going to spend a lot of money. Like the Phillies, if they lose Schwarber, they're definitely going to go after Bellinger and sign him. Dodgers obviously want to reunite because they're tired of the Mikel Conforto, experiment, and they're willing to spend even more money because screw it, let's cause a lockout. And then, the Yankees are just going to be there seeing what crumbs they can get because even the Mets are interested and they already took Devin Williams. So, Hal Steinbrenner is watching the whole offseason, every team improve, and he comes out and says lowering the payroll is ideal for the 2026 season. Not improving the team to win a World Series is ideal. No, that's not the priority. Possibly lowering the payroll. And guess what? Every other team went out in the division and in the city and improved their squad. And winter meetings haven't even started. Meanwhile, Hal Steinbrenner wants to lower the payroll, and the only free agency acquisition we got is a player we didn't even want to sign, but we offered him, the option and whatnot to get a draft pick, and we basically said, you won't do it, Grisham, and he accepted the $22 million option. And he basically said, oh, you guys really didn't think I would return. You thought I was going to go for a long-term deal? No, I'm staying this year. I've had my best year with the Yankees in Yankee Stadium when I actually got at-bats. Even though I stunk it up in the playoffs, I'm going to stay and get that $22 million option, which is absolutely flabbergasted because I know Cashman and Steinbrenner did not want him to return, and they just wanted that extra draft pick, and now it's going to cost them $22 million, which is going to be dreadful because now they're going to get even cheaper in free agency after hearing that they want to lower the payroll. So this is some moves that have been going on because the Orioles, they had, obviously Grayson Rodriguez, he looks great when healthy, but many times he's not healthy. They had control of him for a bit, and they said, you know what, let's go out and get Taylor Ward, who dropped almost 40 home runs. So they went from missing out on Anthony Santander to saying we're going to go out and get a similar guy, a power guy like Taylor Ward, who's a bit more versatile. He can play in the infield, he can play in the outfield. So this is actually a pretty good move, but I don't expect them to pay him. But the Orioles get better, right? As well, Sonny Gray goes to the Red Sox. So, the Red Sox end up improving on their pitching. They go out and get a guy like Sonny Gray, who apparently switched up on the city of New York because he couldn't handle New York, and now he's talking like he was an absolute incredible pitcher for the Yankees, but absolutely dreaded being there, even though he was excited to get traded to the Yankees. But 360-degree switch up because he wants Boston to like him. Not only that, the Mets, they go out and get Marcus Semien, which I don't really think is the best move, but they did take Devin Williams away from the Yankees, which I'm going to be one of the people that aren't really going to be favored on this take. I actually wanted the Yankees to keep Devin Williams because, yes, Devin Williams towards the beginning of his tenure with the Yankees was awful. Actually, towards the end, including playoffs, this guy was lights out. And honestly, the Yankees have had, including Aaron Judge, players that have lit up the regular season, and then they get to October and they stink. And it seems like every single player that's the opposite has a whatever regular season and then gets absolutely, lights out in the playoffs. We just let them go. And then we have a problem with our with our October performances. Juan Soto was a guy who I loved because he was elite in the regular season and somehow got better in the playoffs. Devin Williams was pretty meh in the regular season, got to the playoffs, lights out. I love that. If you're going to be trash in the regular season, I don't care. But if you're going to be, not conceding any runs in the playoffs, welcome to the team. I really don't care. You know, at the end of the day, we have a lot of regular season bandits that are going to get us to the playoffs and drag us in there, even if you're trash. But if you're going to be, 0 ERA in the playoffs or hitting 400 in the playoffs, but you suck in the regular season, welcome to the New York Yankees, in my opinion. But, who am I? As long as we fill out the stadium for tickets, am I right? Obviously, the Yankees, the only free agency signings they had, as well, the Blue Jays, let's not forget, went out and got Dylan Cease, a top starting pitcher. They also went out and got Poch, who had a under 2 ERA and overseas league, which he could either be really good or a miss, to be honest. But the Blue Jays are really spending money after making the World Series, something the Yankees couldn't do. If the Blue Jays end up, the thing about the Blue Jays is they're going to keep Bichette. They've already improved their starting pitching, even though that wasn't really a problem for them last year. So to me, the Blue Jays are hungry for a World Series, a lot more hungry than Steinbrenner and the New York Yankees, which is an absolute problem. And at the end of the day, this is what the New York Yankees lineup is going to be looking like next year. Trent Grisham, our free agent acquisition. He's going to be starting at center field. Aaron Judge, obviously. Ben Rice finally gets the first base nod because he has been hitting pretty well. Stanton, DH. Jazz Chisholm, who's been a bit of an error lately, is going to start second base. And then Jason Dominguez will finally get an opportunity. I could see Ryan McMahon starting at third base, even though he's going to cost us $16 million. And then Wells and Volpe. No improvements whatsoever. You let go of Cody Bellinger because the Dodgers, Mets, and Phillies will all outspend you in the acquisition of Cody Bellinger. What the mentality is going to be is, we're going to lose Grisham after this year, which we either get Spencer Jones going or we're going to go out and possibly sign Harrison Bader or trade for Harrison Bader, something along the lines of a Harrison Bader type of caliber outfielder to replace Grisham was going to be a cheaper option. As well as they probably thought, okay, the Blue Jays were really 2 outs away from being World Series champions. We went to 4 games against the Blue Jays. We were really 1 game off from beating the Blue Jays, who could have been World Series champions. We didn't have our ace in Garrett Cole. If you really consider the fact that Garrett Cole starts one of these games instead of whoever else, possibly the Yankees tied up 2-2. In game 1 they win that instead. And then you never know what happens in game 5, and you beat the Blue Jays. Well, the Blue Jays beat the Mariners, so you would have beat the Mariners. And then, you trust whoever you wanted to throw in as at closer, if it's Devin Williams or, Bednar, to finish out the Dodgers. Do you think Bednar is going to get Miggy Rojas out and Ohtani out? Well, you don't have Nestor Cortez anymore to really just throw in a 93-mile-per-hour middle fastball to Freddie Freeman. So they're probably thinking, the Yankees would have been World Series champions if Garrett Cole was healthy, and we're going to have him back next year. And then Rodon's going to be even more healthy because he's got his surgery. That's probably what they're thinking. They're like, our starting pitcher's going to get healthier. We'll just fix up the bullpen, run it back. Jason Dominguez, he got 1 at-bat, and he got an extra base hit, even though we could have used that over Trent Grisham, who was absolutely trash. Whew, that's a rant. That is a rant about the Yankees. But it's looking bad. The Yankees are going to be running it back 100%. That's really the mentality they're thinking. That's why they're saying instead of we're going to go out and improve and replace Soto like last year, and they actually made decent improvements in hindsight. This year it's going to be like, this team really showed some grit. We were missing our ace. We have our ace now. Rodon's going to be a bit more healthy. We got Dominguez and Spencer Jones coming up. We're going to make a push and run it back. Really what's going to happen. But anyways, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Let me know, what moves do you think the Yankees should make? Personally, me, I think they actually have to spend big time money because you haven't been able to, win a World Series when you traded for Juan Soto. Imagine what you actually have to do to get over the hump and beat the Dodgers. You actually have to go out and spend tons of money. And that would have to be one of the two in Bellinger or Tucker. One of the two. And as well, bring in a good caliber starting pitcher. There's definitely some good around. And Edwin Diaz, why not? They took Devin Williams to get Edwin Diaz going. That's really what the Yankees have to do. But anyways, thank you guys for watching.